Alle reden immer über die transatlantischen Beziehungen. Ich wollte eigentlich mal wissen, was ist eigentlich dran? Woher kommt das? Warum ist so eine starke Verbindung zwischen Deutschland und Amerika? Und darum habe ich mit dem Amerika-Experten Neil van Siclen gesprochen. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß beim Interview und wenn es euch gefällt, lasst einen Daumen hoch da und abonniert unseren Kanal. Viel Spaß! Hi everybody, welcome to our little interview about transatlantic relations. I've got a very special guest tonight. He is actually American, he's from Boston, and so of course he is an America expert. Welcome Mr. Neil van Siclen, nice to have you here tonight.
Yeah, thank you, nice to be here.
Politicians and foreign policy makers often speak about transatlantic relations. To be honest, what is that really, or what do they mean when they talk about that?
That's a good question. Transatlantic relations basically refer to relationships between countries that border the Atlantic. But, you know, most commonly, this term refers to relations between Europe and the English-speaking part of North America. That means Canada and the United States.
You just mentioned Germany and America. There are relations that are very special. What is so special about this relation, really?
The relations between Germany and the United States have a very, very long history. They go back to the late 17th century, when the first wave of German immigrants came to the United States and founded Germantown, which is today a part of Philadelphia. And that was the first wave. Between the years approximately 1757, sorry about that, between 1757 and 1780, late 90s, approximately 37,000 Germans emigrated to the United States.
Oh, wow.
Then another wave started in the late 1800s, the late 1900s, and there was a wave of Germans who started. It started around 1848 after the failed German Revolution, and then went on until just about to the beginning of the Second World War. That was the largest wave. Approximately 1 million German immigrants who came to the United States to start a new life, looking for freedom, looking for ways to express themselves, which were in Germany at that time not necessarily possible.
America is the land of possibilities, really. And if you think of it, it's always, you think of, okay, a lot of English people are there, a lot of Irish, Scottish people, but are there really many people with German ancestry?
Oh, yes. German heritage or ancestry is actually the largest group of American immigrants. Approximately 16% of today's population has a German background. And even today, when you travel to the United States, you will find from Western New York and Pennsylvania through the upper Midwest, all the way over to Northern California, Oregon, Washington State, you will find many people with German-sounding names. And of course, you'll also find many towns named after German towns here in Bremen. There's like a Lübeck, for example, in Texas. You will find a New Ulm in Minnesota. You will find a Bremen in Indiana.
I was just about to say that, isn't there even one Bremen in the United States? I think it's even two, isn't it?
There are several. There supposedly, there are a total of 9.
9 Bremens.
I Googled it, Bremens in the United States, not too long ago, and I could only find 7.
Ah, okay. Is it often that there are these towns, are they sort of more often, like Bremen is 7 times, or Lübeck is, for example, 5 times or whatever? Or is it
Yes,
just
quite often, because the people, when they left Europe, when they left Germany, they went somewhere and sometimes started a village or a town, and they named the village or the town after the place they came from. So people who went to the Midwest from Bremen decided to name their town after the city they came from.
Bremen has a very good relationship to the US as well. But can you please explain why the transatlantic relations are so important and so special between Germany and the United States of America?
Yeah, that has, I gave you a bit of background to that question, that there are many Germans there, that the Germans who went there brought skills that were not necessarily available at that time in the United States, or not widely available at least. They were not just farmers, but you had carpenters, you had masons, you had carriage builders, you had people who built machines, etc. You had the beer brewers. Can't forget about the beer brewers.
No, we shouldn't do that.
We definitely shouldn't do that. And so these relations became more and more embedded in society, and at the same time eased or facilitated trade between Germany and the United States. For example, you have 50%, for example, of Germany's direct investments flow to the United States.
Wow.
And companies like Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, but also companies such as Abbott, the software distribution company, they have locations and headquarters in the United States, but also many small engineering firms with maybe 20 employees in Germany have a location in Bremen or in the United States where they, an office where they work from, simply because there's a demand for it.
And did the
United States,
sorry, did the bind got a bit tighter because of the Second World War after that, because sort of America was the country that sort of freed the Germans?
Actually, not really. After the Second World War, the Americans introduced the Marshall Plan. And so the Americans started investing in Germany to recreate the country, because after the denazification, if you wish, of the government and of its and of its legislative branches and so on, it became very clear that the United States needed to build up the Germany sort of as a buffer zone towards Eastern Europe because of the Cold War. So it was very important that for the United States that Germany was built up very quickly, and that they would be able to not only defend themselves, but also be able to, to have a flourishing economy, etc., so that there was little risk of an invasion through the Soviet Union and so on.
Yeah. We cannot close this interview without talking about the last 4 years, the era Trump as a president in the United States. How much damage did this president or this presidency to the transatlantic relations between Germany and America?
That depends on how you look at it. Politically speaking, the soon-to-be former president really enjoyed causing trouble with Germany and America. He enjoyed the fact that they would argue about things, that he would go into NATO and just bash heads together, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, or when discussing things with NATO, he would sort of ignore the multilateralism and preferred the bilateral agreements. Trump, and the reason why he preferred bilateral to multilateral agreements was very simple. Trump likes win-lose situations. That means where he wins and the other loses. And when you have a multilateral agreement, it's very, very difficult for him to maneuver himself into the winner position and the others then into a lose position, because the EU economy is just so strong. However, that did not keep him from announcing troop removals in Germany, from announcing certain programs that have been in place for many years between Germany and the United States, that these programs were to be reduced.
But you agree that there was damage done, right?
There was some damage done, yes. Economically, not really. Economically, there is a very close ties between Germany and the United States. The direct investment of German companies in the US and US companies in Germany were not really affected, simply because these are long-standing investments that companies want to return on, and not just today, not just tomorrow, but for the years to come.
Mr. van Siclen, thank you so much for this interview and the insight into transatlantic relations between Germany and America. Thank you very much for taking your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. If you like this topic and you want to know more, then join us on Wednesday. Wednesday, we're going to have a live stream here on YouTube, because on Wednesday, the 20th, it's the inauguration of the new elected President Joe Biden, and Mr. van Siclen and me, we will have a little chat about it. We will probably live stream a bit from CNN, the inauguration. So if you'd like to join us, you're very welcome. Have a great time. See you soon.